A wagon transports an orc criminal to a massive prison in an ice wasteland. As cellmates, he meets the bard Edgin and the barbarian Holger. The orc tries to make a pass at Holger despite Edgin's polite warnings to be more respectful. In reaction, Holger smashes his knees and slams his face. The following day, the Absolution Council hears an appeal for Edgin and Holger's forgiveness. Edgin begins by detailing his background to provide context for their location. Edgin was a member of the Harpers faction, a group of spies that conducted heroic exploits against evil. He would listen in on mercenaries, catch robbers, and prosecute Thayan Red Wizards during the day. At night, he would return to his wife Zia and their daughter Kira. They were poor, but Zia didn't mind because she believed Edgin was improving the world. When Edgin arrived home, he discovered Red Wizards riding away. When he stormed inside, Zia was near death and told him she had concealed Kira in the wall with her last remaining strength. Edgin struggled to raise Kira on his own and continued to drink at the pub until he met Holger, a lady exiled from her tribe for falling in love with an outsider. Holger felt terrible for the baby and promised to help Edgin raise her, but they never married. They tried to live morally, but it got increasingly difficult to make ends meet, so Edgin and Holger turned to theft. When they discovered a necklace that allowed them to become invisible, they gave it to an older Kira to keep her safe while continuing to loot additional jewelry stores. Kira began accompanying them to the robberies, and they gradually added more team members such as the magician Simon and the outlaw Forge. Things changed when they encountered Sofina, a wizard who needed their assistance to plunder Corin's keep. Edgin first resisted, but Forge persuaded him when he explained that the keep held the Tablet of Reawakening, which he might use to resurrect Zia. Edgin instructed Kira to stay at home because this location was more dangerous, disregarding her requests for him to stay home if the threat was that great. Sofina quickly seized an odd glowing horn when the group easily entered Corin's keep. When Edgin attempted to take the tablet, a trap was set up, bringing all of the guards into view. In violation of the law, Sofina kills all the guards before using a magic to pause time. This captures Edgin and Holger alike. Edgin throws the tablet at Forge and begs him to protect Kira. The final council member, a creature resembling a bird, eventually arrives as Edgin wraps up the narrative. Without thinking twice, Edgin and Holger rush on the monster to smash the window and use its wings to safely escape. They do this despite the council being prepared to grant them a pardon. When the pair finally returns home, they discover that it has been vacant for some time. They travel to the tavern to talk about how to find Kira after getting Edgin's loot, where they discover that Forge is now the Lord of Neverwinter owing to a flyer. They arrive at Neverwinter, which is getting ready for the yearly High Sun Games, after a lengthy ride. They reunite with Kira at the Lord's Palace, who is more thrilled to meet Holger than her own father because she believes Edgin abandoned her for his own selfish reasons. When they rejoin, Forge tells them how he became the Lord of Neverwinter by using the treasures taken from Corin's keep and how Sofina is assisting him as his advisor. Then, Edgin discovers that Forge has been telling Kira that he was detained for stealing money rather than the Tablet of Reawakening, and to make matters worse, there are wanted posters for their heads that show they weren't simply freed lawfully. Angry about having been misled, Forge says he won't give them Kira or the device when Kira exits the room. When Edgin and Holger try to attack Forge, Sofina uses her magic to imprison them on the ground, exposing their collaboration to betray the rest of the gang during their previous heist. In spite of Forge's orders, Sofina orders the two to be put to death behind his back. The two are led into an alley where they would be executed, but Holger picks up a floor tile and uses it to fend off the soldiers. Her barbarian prowess makes it a simple fight for her, and before long all the men are out cold. She takes an axe before escaping with Edgin. Forge informs Kira that Holger and Edgin abandoned her once more after obtaining the tablet. Moments later, Holger and Edgin decide they need to form a team in order to rescue Kira and the tablet from Forge. They start by looking for Simon, who is amusing himself by doing ridiculous magic tricks. However, Simon is actually using these feats as a distraction while he performs a spell to steal the gold and other valuables from the crowd. They attempt to attack Simon in a rage, but he uses magic to defend himself. However, he is a poor sorcerer, and his spells frequently fail. He initially hoists the victims to the ceiling before taking off himself via the window. Fortunately, Holger is waiting outside to capture him. Simon offers to assist as the group flees, but he emphasizes that his magic won't be able to stop Sofina. They will require a druid to enter, and Simon is familiar with one. When the group eventually arrives, the druid is ready to be slain. A horse suddenly loses control and turns into an owlbear, indicating that she is Simon's friend. Before assuming Doric's regular shape and fleeing on a real horse, the beast easily defeats all the soldiers and saves the other girl. Later, the group encounters Doric in her residence in the elf forests and discovers Doric has little faith in people because her own family abandoned her for being tiefling. She does, nonetheless, agree to help because she despises Forge even more for killing her people and destroying the forest. Sofina converses with her lord, the Lik Sastam, while in her private chambers and confesses that she is a wicked red wizard. He gives her the responsibility for carrying out their grand scheme, for which Sofina has been coercing Forge to revive the games. Sofina then goes to Forge's meeting with other lords to discuss the High Sun Games plans. They will be storing all of the winnings from the wagers in the castle's vault, which is secured by an old seal. Sofina notices a presence suddenly and points at a bug, which is actually Doric utilizing her shape-shifting skills to spy. The guards pursue her right away, but Doric transforms into several animals to flee, first becoming a mouse to sneak through the hallways and then a bird to fly away from the castle. She collides with a flag while evading arrows, but she lands as a cat and transforms into a deer to move faster and avoid Sofina's strikes. Later, Doric informs the gang of Sofina's malevolent nature and the vault seal. They talk about the Helmet of Disjunction, which is rumored to have vanished decades ago. Holger claims that her people battled the cult of the dragon, suggesting that they may be aware of its whereabouts. In the meantime, Sofina employs an assassin to find the squad and gives him orders to kill all the security personnel who allowed Doric to flee. Later, the group makes a pit stop at Holger's former residence so that she can gather some items, including her walking stick. Although Holger is devastated to learn that her ex-husband has moved on to another barbarian lady, he is still cordial with her and wants the best for her. The team comes at a graveyard full of ancient Evermore's combatants in the twilight. The bodies can only survive with Simon's powers for up to 5 inquiries. As the squad starts digging, each body gives them a brief account of the conflict they were killed in, usually claiming that someone else stole their helmet. They discover, after looking through numerous bodies, that Zenk received the helmet from Tai, the origin of the Red Wizards. Since they killed Zia, Ejin doesn't trust Thyans, but the others persuade him to enlist their aid by telling him about Zenk's experiences as a paladin. A few days later, the group discovers Zenk doing yet another act of bravery. He uses his goodness to placate a sea creature and save the child that it had devoured. They meet with him, then inform him about Sofina so that Zenk can outline the Red Wizard's entire history. Sastam had cast a spell that swallowed the souls of everyone who saw it, binding them to its desire, using the horn they had stolen to launch an unspeakable coup. Sastam captured Tai with the aid of this army of the undead, but since his powers currently cannot traverse boundaries, Zenk believes Sofina is attempting to aid him in growing his domain. When Ejin promises to share Forge's wealth with the residents of Neverwinter, Zenk will grant the squad the helmet. The helmet is then located in the bowels of the Underdark, where the crew next goes. Zenk discusses his experience of seeing the unholy as he is traversing the woods. He broke away from the Red Wizard's way of life and employed his abilities for good after learning about the power of Sastam and how ITA seduced decent people into serving evil. Zenk has a mark on his forehead because he narrowly avoided being cast under the To get to the Underdark metropolis, the gang descends a hole in the trees. Because these monsters primarily prey on intelligent individuals, the squad is ignored by the numerous Rocknants in the area. They then have to traverse a chasm on a trap-filled dwarven bridge. Zenk is aware of how to avoid them, but a preoccupied Simon unintentionally activates a process that results in the bridge to give way. Simon eventually spots Holger's walking stick, which she took from a wizard some years earlier, while she searches her bag for some rope. It turns out to be a hither-thither staff, which can open portals 500 yards away. After successfully navigating the abyss, the crew arrives at a statue that Zenk triggers to release the helmet. Assassins working for Sofina ambush them at that same moment. Before engaging the commander in hand-to-hand combat while wielding his bright blade against the foe's blazing one, Zenk uses his remarkable skills to dispatch the minions in a flash. Even if Zenk beats him, the Thyans simply keep resurfacing since they are undead. The group tries to flee but is met with a roadblock. They are promptly pursued and eaten by a large dragon. The squad must flee while escaping falling rubble as the dragon wreaks havoc all around them. Ejin is sent toward the dragon's mouth after Simon establishes a portal and directs them on a platform. Fortunately, Zenk intervenes and kills the dragon with a headshot. They are eventually stuck in a tiny tunnel that is filling with salt water because the dragon, who they thought was dead, is still alive and chasing them. This gives Ejin an idea. They conceal themselves below and he provokes the dragon until it breathes electricity. Simon then uses a flame to generate an explosion that blows out the tunnel, allowing the group to escape by swimming. Zenk arrives at the coast, waves goodbye to the others, and departs for his house. When Simon tries to take control of the helmet, he encounters his ancestor, who has reservations about his talents and won't let him attune with the device. Simon tries for hours but is consistently turned down, which lowers the team's spirits. Ejin ultimately confides in Simon and Doric when they express a desire to depart. He admits he has failed everyone but also explains why he can't stop right away. The Red Wizards killed his wife because he stole from them after growing weary of working pro gratis. The group is moved by this and resolves to reunite with him. After that, Holger devises a scheme to enter the castle using the staff rather than the helmet. They start by purchasing a framed painting, beneath which they conceal a doorway. When a carriage carrying Forged valuables passes by, Ejin hides below a pile of leaves on the road and waits to attach the painting to it. Simon activates a nearby portal, and Holger pulls the carriage through it so that Doric may enter and bring the picture inside. Simon nearly falls out of the picture during the process, but Doric lifts him up using her tail as leverage. They reclose the carriage using the portal after that, and Doric places the canvas back into position before making an insect-like escape. The gang eventually arrives in Neverwinter in time for the High Sun Games to begin, which feature 5 groups competing in extremely risky challenges. Forge welcomes everyone to the event and tells them that there will be gifts for everyone after the games are over. When the team opens a portal in private, they find they can't use it since the guards put the artwork in with the other treasures, but it falls to the ground. While Ejin gives Simon a pep talk and reminds him that he performs best under pressure, Doric starts using a knife to try to create a hole for a bug to fit through. Castle guards are then diverted by Simon's illusion of a singing Ejin. However, Simon's foot gets trapped and the illusion begins to fall apart, prompting the guards to pursue them. Holger stays behind to battle the guards with her axe and anything else she can find in the room, quickly knocking them all out while Ejin and Simon rush inside. When Simon gets to the locked door and dons he runs into his ancestor once more, who continues to berate him. This time, Simon hits his ancestor out of rage because something else is more important than his own pride, which enables him to attune with the helmet and open the vault. He guards with the help of his newly found self-confidence before entering the vault with Holger and discovering that it is empty. Doric, meanwhile, successfully creates the hole and enters in the shape of a worm, discovering all the treasures tucked away beneath the arena. Doric is discovered by a soldier, who knocks her out. Meanwhile, magical tentacles emerging from the floor seize Holger and Simon. In order to find Kira and make amends for being a horrible parent, Ejin sneaks around the hallways looking for her. But it turns out that this is Sofina. She captures him using an illusion as well as the power of her tentacles. When Forge arrives, he intends to have them all put to death, but Ejin persuades him to let them take part in the games so they can pass away honorably. A little while later, the group is in the Colosseum with Simon and Doric wearing bracelets that inhibit their power. The crew is quickly forced to flee all over the place during the first event, which is a maze filled with monsters. All of the teams are pursued by the monsters, who employ cunning techniques like cornering a dwarf with an illusion. When Holger opens a different chest, the sword Doric finds inside turns out to be a knife. Reveals itself to be a mimic that grabs her leg with its tongue. Fortunately, Doric interrupts it just in time. While Sofina is in power, Ejin prepares to flee in his boat with Kira. Doric trips and gets her hand stuck in a gelatinous cube back in the maze. Although Holger assists her, the bracelet remains within. The crew walks through the illusion and frees Ejin after he is cornered by another monster. They manage to escape the maze after some more running, and cages are waiting to transport them to the following difficulty. Doric gains insight from Ejin's observation that they must flee rather than advance. She forces them to leap inside the gummy cube, and the bracelet remains within. Doric changes into a snake to flee and then drags everyone with him. The crew enters another tunnel to reach the pier, where they kill all the guards and discover the boat containing the treasure and tablet. The tablet is used to support their claims when Forge and Kira arrive. When Kira decided to believe them, Forge had to threaten her with a knife in order to get the others to back off. In the midst of Forge's idiotic villainous rant, Holger grabs Kira, rips a potato and hurls it at his face, compelling him to release her. She joins the group as they board a boat to go, Simon casting a spell to hit Forge with a wave of water. Kira pardons Ejin as they come together again. In the meantime, Sofina is using the horn to launch her strategy. She persuaded Forge to carry out the games and force everyone to stay for a present so she could use them all to create a new army of the undead. The squad decides to arrive to save the day after spotting a dark cloud gathering over the city. As Sofina casts the spell over the gambling lords, Ejin comes up with a scheme in which Simon opens the ship's gateway and connects to a huge balloon over the Colosseum. All of the gaming workers start after the balloon to get some gold as the riches start to fall through the portal, rescuing them from Sofina's magic. When the squad meets Sofina, who is attacking them with a fire spell, Ejin instructs Kira to conceal herself with her necklace. Doric changes into an owlbear to jump on Sofina, who pulls her away and uses her magic to trigger a dragon statue after Simon shields them. The group attacks it with all of their skills, but nothing can harm Stone. When Doric knows she must battle Sofina, the dragon is about to eat Ejin when she learns about the magic of the dragon. Sofina then captures Holger and Ejin in a sphere before conjuring a massive hand to pursue Doric, but a self-assured Simon conjures his own hand to fight back. While the sphere collides and fractures, Sofina still triumphs and destroys it. The group doesn't give up and keeps attacking Sofina non-stop until she casts the time-freezing spell, at which point they stop. Sofina starts to celebrate her victory, but then everyone starts to move because this was their original plan. When Sofina turns to her side, she sees that an indistinct Kira placed the bracelet on her wrist in order to interfere with her powers. Then Doric transforms into an owlbear and brutally beats Sofina till she dies. The group rejoices their triumph as they discover that Holga was fatally injured during the battle, and she passes away. As Kira sobs over her, Ejin understands that Holga was the closest thing Kira ever had to a mother, so he chooses to use the tablet to bring Holga back to life. Forge tries to flee with some gold while the squad joins in the celebrations, but he is caught by Zenk. The original City Lord awakens and grants the heroes medals for preserving Neverwinter. Forge is incarcerated and tries to petition for his release by outlining his own terrible past, but the council is unimpressed. In a death and secured all windows, causing Forge to merely charge into a wall. Make sure to subscribe for more content like this, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.